the Davis County days. Coach Barnes, I want to congratulate you on a big win last night over Crittenden County.
Yeah, we kind of started slow, but we picked it up in the second quarter, and that was what I preached all week long: is we got to come out ready to play, and try to get on them early, and we didn't do that, but it came out our end at the end.
And turn it on they did in that second quarter. I think 41 points, tied for the third most all time in a quarter for Caldwell County. So a big second quarter put you guys pretty much at halftime. You knew that one was in the pocket at 51-21. But we'll go over the game here in just a little bit. Coach Barnes, I talked to you a little bit this morning, and I want to mention and let you elaborate all you want to on the acts of Crittenden County last night coming into this game. And the sportsmanship they showed, but I think it went above sportsmanship. It was a true friendship that these two counties have when it comes to football. And the things they did last night, wearing the Coach Barnes Strong shirts, doing the fundraising and helping out with the Parkinson's Foundation, and presenting you and your wife with a check for over $8,500 last night. But I'll let you tell some about the matchup with Crittenden County that we have from a friendship and sportsmanship standpoint.
The matchup with us and Crittenden has, over time, has become very special. A few years ago, Coach Starnes was diagnosed with cancer, and both of us, we all got together and did a thing for him, and we all wore T-shirts, and Coach Starnes knew nothing about the T-shirts. Had them on underneath their shoulder pads, and the coaches had them underneath their shirts. And I asked Coach Starnes last night, I said, "Do you know anything about the shirts?" And he said, "No, not until we took them off at the end of that game." And we presented he and Angela a check, and then Shelly Boyd, Carol Boyd's wife, was diagnosed with cancer, and so we did it. Crittenden County did the same thing. So it's something that's evolved through time. If you remember last year, we did it for our Special Olympic kids, and all those kids in the Special Olympics got a letter jacket. And so if you were at our place last year, you saw a bunch of little kids out there that got letter jackets and it's smiling from ear to ear. So that came from the same thing. Well, this year we had already talked about what we were going to do, and then when Coach Starnes found out about what I was going through, he said, "We're going to do this." And he's got a lady down there that takes care of his booster club, Serena Dickerson, that really got the T-shirt thing going at both communities. And the thing about our community, we sold over 900 shirts, and I think they sold like 400 or something like that. All that money was from T-shirt sales and donations, and Coach Starnes this is his last year. He's retiring, so we're going to lose a good guy out of coaching. But the most impressive thing for me is how he handled that deal, and his players coming up to me at halftime. We're up at halftime like we were, and they could have been in a situation where they don't want to talk to nobody.
Absolutely.
They're telling me that they're praying for me and that they're thinking about me, and it just shows the relationship that you can build. Even though you want to win the football game, what comes out of sports is more than just a game and wins and losses. It's the friendships and relationships you build, and that's something that Coach Starnes and I have done through time, and it's something that if you weren't there last night, you can't really see what it was all about with all the T-shirts, and when they showed that check, it was unbelievable that there's that amount of money that was raised for that foundation.
They did a great job, and Bob and I said before the kickoff last night that playing Crittenden County is like getting together with friends in an empty lot in the neighborhood and playing football. You're still friends first, and what they did last night was just a lesson that these kids will remember. They'll win games, they'll lose games in their 4 years playing football, but things like last night at halftime when both teams gathered to say a prayer and to do what they did, that's the lessons that are important.
And it's something that, Coach Starnes says, you'll still see the shirts that we had the year with it, that we did it for him. And he says, I still see people wearing those shirts, and it really makes me think back to that, and it really means something. He said, at the time I kind of was embarrassed because of what they were doing. The same way I felt, it's not about me. It's about, helping somebody else. And, I just appreciate what Coach Starnes and his wife Angela and all the people in Crittenden County did last night. It's just something you really can't thank people for.
Yeah, it's more than words can express what you really feel when something like that happens, and it just doesn't happen in our day and time between two teams and two counties like it does with Caldwell and Crittenden County. So we thank the folks in Crittenden County for all the effort they put into last night's contest. Well, Coach, getting to the game, we started a little sluggish last night, had a play. We got the ball down to the 3-yard line for our first offensive possession. A penalty on the run. I think it was Dylan put it in, but penalty nullified that. A couple of plays didn't pick up any yardage. Had to settle for a field goal after being on the 3. What were your thoughts at that point last night for the team and how they came out?
Well, you know, like we talked about all week in practice what we needed to do, and we talked before we went on the field what we needed to do. And the funny thing was, right before that interception, Wills tells Bradley on the headset, he said, "Man, it'd be nice if we get another defensive score here early in the game." And about that time, Jameer picks that ball off, and there's no way I thought anybody was gonna catch him. And you know, and so Will and Bradley, you know, here it is, we got a touchdown, you know, on defense, and thought we was getting ready to get started really good, and then you know we kind of bogged down, and you know Boyce kicks the field goal to get us up 3-0, but you know it should have been 6 points or 7 points on the board.
Yeah, I don't know how he didn't get in because he had a couple of blockers in front of him and only one player to beat, and somehow that guy got through and was able to take Jameer out and hold us to a field goal. Crittenden County turns around. They're an improved team. They've taken their knocks as freshmen and as sophomores. They had a lot of juniors in that lineup, and it was an improved squad we faced last night.
And you know, and I told him, I said, Coach Starnes will have these kids. He'll have these kids ready to play. You know, last week they went up on Trigg 14-0, and you know they were. And you saw last night they played with a lot of energy, and they made plays. And their quarterback does a good job throwing the ball deep and making throws. And we try to make sure our kids understood that. But you know, I think it kind of took the wind out of ourselves a little bit when we didn't get that touchdown on that interception, and then they come back and score and get momentum, and you know, end up getting up on top of us 14-3. But you know, a tribute to our kids, we buckled down and made some plays. You know, had I think 6 interceptions on defense and a block. I think the block field goal probably is what turned the tide last night for us and set up to touch. You know, that's another one. I thought we had a touchdown. I don't see how we got caught on that deal either, but. Anyway, we got the field goal block, and I think that really turned the tide for us.
Well, Caldwell did. They had a 3-0 lead, but Crittenden County turned right around, and their quarterback was hitting some pretty short passes. They weren't 5, 7, maybe 8 yards out. They turned a lot of catches into a lot of yards after the catch. They did a good job running the ball. They had some speed. And next thing you look up, they've turned a short pass into a 70-yard touchdown and taken the early lead, got the crowd into it a little bit at 7-3.
You know, and sometimes when that happened, we were in man coverage. So if you're in man coverage and they beat you by a step, you know, especially if you're playing zero with no safety sitting back there, there's a lot of grass getting into, and that's what was happening to us. And we didn't do a real good job a couple times on some breaking on the ball. But the thing that I was impressed with, I thought we'd be able to get more pressure on the quarterback than what we were getting. But a part of that had to do with the quarterback. He had a quick release, got rid of the ball really quick, and did a great job. I was really impressed with the quarterback.
Yeah, Bob and I made mention of that early on. In fact, he threw another touchdown pass to put Crittenden up 14-3. But Bob and I both talked about he's not getting any pressure because he's not back there 2 seconds before he's letting go of the ball.
He got rid of it quick, and you know, the Paducah paper yesterday picked us Crittenden to beat us 21 points. And
I heard about that.
So, you know, I look up the scoreboard and it's 14-3. I said, maybe this guy knows what he's talking about. He's from Michigan.
I talked to him in the press conference. He's from Michigan. Just moved down here.
Well, we talked about that on the way over. We had almost the same thought. And I went to the Kiwanis pancake breakfast this morning, and everybody that spoke about the game said I was a little bit nervous there in the first quarter of the way Crittenden County jumped out. But they got the crowd into it. They had the excitement. They had the momentum. And I thought it was great how our players responded. They came down, could have taken a 17-10 lead on us, and the field goal was blocked. We were able to take that back down for a big return and put that one in and kind of turn the tide. You want to talk about that play a little bit, how it did change?
I think Gabe East blocked that field goal, I think, wasn't it, Gabe?
I think they had Bashir blocking it.
Russ. Well, I knew we had Russ and Gabe both coming off that edge, and then Dylan Kavanaugh picked it up, and I thought we were going to score, which, you know, that's a big play to change the momentum and swung it our way a little bit. Their crowd, like you said, was getting into it. And when you talk about the crowd, that was a great crowd there at that game last night. And Coach Starnes is probably pretty happy this morning on the gate. So that particular play, I really do think turned the tide and helped us get that momentum and kind of helped us push us over the hump a little bit.
Well, it must have woke up a sleeping giant, because going into the second quarter, Caldwell's able to put 41 points on the board. Like I said, the third highest quarter total ever for Caldwell County, and then basically put the game away at 51-21 at halftime. But just a big wake-up call for the Tigers, and I think it did turn around on that block kick. Big games last night. We're going to get into some of the stats a little bit later in this, but big games by Trell and Jameer Riley last night, especially in that second quarter.
On defense, with the interception, like I said, we had 6 interceptions, and that was, early in the game we weren't really playing good coverage. Like you just mentioned, they made some big plays on us, and we started doing a little bit better on coverage, breaking on the ball a little bit better, and to get 6 picks again. For this is our 4th game, and in all 4 games, our defense is what's been carrying us. I mean, they make plays, and I think in all 4 games we've scored on defense, and did that again last night, and so our defense is carrying us. And again, when you get an interception, you get the ball back on the field, and we got our offense on the field. That helps us offensively, gets us hopefully in a tempo where we can get down the field.
We'll take a quick break and start going over some of the stats and look at that second quarter more in depth as we'll come back. You're listening to Saturday Morning Quarterback here on WPKY.
Debit or credit card fraud? Farmers Bank and Trust can help lessen your risk of getting taken advantage of. As our customer, you have exclusive access to a security feature in our app that will allow you to turn your debit card off while you're not using it, then turn it on instantly when you need to use it. Keep your information safe. Log into our free app to use this feature, increasing the security of your information right now. Not a Farmers Bank customer? Come down. Let us set up your account and start protecting you from potential fraud opportunities. This is not a guarantee that your information will not be compromised. This is an increased security measure. Farmers Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
This is Gail Cherry. I'm a board member for Community Medical Clinic located at 310 Hawthorne Street in Princeton. Community Medical Clinic's goal is to provide access to excellent health care services that are both convenient and affordable in our local community. Community Medical Clinic is taking new patients every day, and walk-ins are welcome. The clinic is open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. to serve you and your family members of all ages. All insurances are welcome, as well as patients with no insurance. Community Medical Clinic, providing health care services at your convenience at no extra cost.
And we are back this morning, Saturday Morning Quarterback. Dennis Stevens sitting in for Bob Hayes, along with Coach David Barnes. And Coach, a big win last night, Caldwell County 64, Crittenden County 21. After a sluggish start, that defense started to really come around. And I was going to ask you this morning, Bob and I talked about this in the game last night. The quarterback for Crittenden County started out hot. He was hitting some short little passes, didn't take a lot of time back in the pocket, maybe a second or two. It looked like in that second quarter, he was wanting to force it a little bit farther down the field, and Trell and Jameer were setting back just a little bit better, and they really broke on some passes with a little more cushion. Was he trying to go deeper, or did you feel he was trying to force it a little bit deeper?
And Coach Bartlett pointed this out. I think our DB started doing a better job reading the quarterback, because he didn't really look anybody off.
Right.
And I think they started doing a lot better job of reading the quarterback and getting a better jump on the ball. And that one that Trell intercepted on their sideline, I mean, he got a big jump on that, and it had to do nothing than him reading that quarterback. Early on, he was backing off and not really. I don't think he was reading that quarterback like they started doing. And when we started doing that, we got a better break on the ball. And the quarterback did start forcing some stuff as the game went on.
And it was tough, and we made the comparison. Crittenden County started out much the same way against Trigg County. He was hot, had 3 touchdown passes, or had a big game against Trigg. But maybe not 3 touchdown passes. No, we had 3 interceptions. So we knew that it might be a big night for our defensive backs if we could be in position to make the catch. Crittenden, I think, got as close as 24-21, if I remember right, last night. And then that second quarter just opened up with interceptions on 3 consecutive plays on first down. I think a couple of those by Trell Riley, and Bashir had an interception last night. As you said, 6 interceptions. So the defense stood up again. That's 4 games starting out this year, 4 defensive scores at least once in each game. So the defense has been your crown jewel so far early.
And that's why you talk about any football coach, you win championships by defense. And our defense is playing well right now, and Hunter Vanderhooser got a break on the ball and had it in his hands. If he'd have got that, it had been 4 games in a row he had an interception. And We just did a lot better job as that game went on, getting a feel for it, getting a jump on the ball, and you know, to get 6 interceptions in a game really swings momentum.
And that's 11 on the season in 4 games, so that average is it's going to be tough to keep up. But that tells you your players in that defensive backfield and the linebackers are really playing some good ball right now. Taking a look on the other side of the ball, we had a Saturday game last week, so we didn't get a chance to talk to you last week on Saturday morning. But last week, a big win over Hopkinsville, and it looked like the offense, it kind of clicked on them all of a sudden in that fourth quarter last week. Do you want to go back to that game a little bit and see what it poured over into this Crittenden game?
You know, with 3 minutes, I guess we were down. 3 minutes ago, we were down 21-14, and we were able to score to get 28-21 win the game. But when you go back and look at that, we started making plays. You know, Travis Newsom made some plays down the stretch there, and Trail made one on a crossing route, and Joby did it a couple of times. Got out of the pocket, made throws down the field to keep drives going. We had a 4th down and I don't know, 4th and forever, and we converted to keep that drive going.
4th and eternity
And,
was what their PA announcer.
So we kept that drive going, but we did, you know, I think, and then our offensive line did a lot better job. So I think we grew up in those last 3 minutes of that game last night. You know, there's still stuff we got to do. You know, Joby, I think, was 22 of 30 or something like that.
23 of 29 last night for 195 yards and 5 touchdown passes.
And, you know, and he'll say on film where, you know, he could have possibly been 25 of 29 or 26 of 29, but, you know, still that's just his 4th game as a starter, and he's getting better every game. And same thing with our offensive line, and, you know, our whole deal has been, you know, Coach McClung did a great job last Sunday in our last Monday morning in our meeting with our kids, and, you know, made a comment that, you know, a lot of people at that point thought we'd be 0-3 just like we were last year, and we were 2-1, and, you know, are we going to be satisfied where we are? We're going to continue to get better as a football team, and, you know, there are big things at the end of the year that you want to play for, and that's in the playoffs. And that, you know, in 2 weeks we go to Paducah-Tillman comes here for our first district game, and that's what these first 5 games have been about, is try to get us in a position to be able to win its district championship and move into the playoffs. And, you know, I think we took a step in the right direction last night. You know, you got to fight through adversity, and we did that in the first quarter and came out on top.
Well, going into last night's game, we saw a big improvement against Hopkinsville, but I didn't know if there would ever be a night this season where we said Joby Jaggers throws for 5 touchdowns. And he's really clicking. He's getting a little more comfortable back there. Would you care to tell our listeners this morning how much it's changed since maybe the first week of the season, what you're trying to instill in your offense to do as opposed to what you're doing now? How much have they grown, and what are they picking up weekly in practice maybe quicker?
Well, probably one thing, you know, we haven't really added a lot of stuff. We've been doing the same thing for 6 weeks now. You know, we might tweak a little thing. We might show a different formation or something, but it's really the same concept. And in doing that, you're not really having to relearn a lot of stuff. It's the same stuff over and over. And the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And, you know, the quarterback's got the toughest job. He's got to take a snap. He's got to look the snap in, and he's got to make sure he understands coverage, where the grass is, and where open spots are, and who is, you know, he can't just pick out a receiver. He's got to go through his progression, and Joey's getting better at that. And, you know, it takes time. You know, Shane did a great job at it, but Shane had a lot of snaps. Sindelar did a great job at it, but Sindelar made mistakes when he was at his first start, even though he threw for quite a few yards that first game, but he still made mistakes. And Joey's getting better every game.
And a lot of that's going to be attributed to that line growing up a little bit too. You started 5 new kids on the line this year. They've made progression between the first week of the season and now. You want to say what you're seeing in that line as they're growing together?
You know, they're getting more. You know, the first Christian County game, that was their first start as a varsity player, and
right.
on 5, you know, that's the first time in a long time I've had to we had to fix in 5 offensive linemen that had no experience, and that's tough. I mean, that's the toughest position in this offense. You know, if you can't pass protect, you can't throw the ball. But I think also we found out last night, you know, some players that we can get in the game and, you know, to help our running game. You know, Jameer did a good job running the football last night. You know, maybe Seth is a kid that we can get in there and spot play some because he did show some speed during the game last night. So we'll find out in the JV game Monday where he's at. And but there were some really bright spots last night.
Yeah, I want to talk about Seth Slayton a little bit later this morning because he was a bright spot. Joby's making the progression. The receivers are holding on to the ball. I think Oliver Parker has shown some flashes of greatness this year. He's got probably from what we see, maybe the best hands on the team. He can go up and snag anything, like that one-handed catch that was ruled out of bounds at Hopkinsville. But
Jameer had a pretty good one there.
Jameer went up high last night in the corner of the end zone and made a good one too. So you've got the receivers for it, and Joby's doing a good job getting the ball to him. Got a little more time. And that's something else we noticed in the Hoptown game. There was drives where Joby would drop back and he would have the 3 or 4 seconds to throw the ball to get rid of it. He had some pressure at times last night, but I think he's playing smarter, not forcing any big mistakes. Only the one interception last night.
Yeah, and the thing I look at, is percentage completion, and he's probably at 60% for the year.
Well, he went into last night at 66% and didn't hurt those with a 23 out of 29 performance last night.
As long as, what I tell our kids, if we're going to throw the football, we got to be able to complete it and catch it. I mean, if we're going to put it on the ground, you can't run this offense, and, we're doing a pretty good job there, so. He's doing some things right. There's things that he's got to get better at, but that's just part of growing up in that position.
Well, after a very long first half last night, Caldwell went to the locker room ahead 51-21, game well in hand after that 41-point second quarter. They came out, Jameer able to make another touchdown for Caldwell County, got the running clock going, and then a lot of younger players come in for Caldwell County. We're going to talk about a couple of those younger players, but one I want to mention, we don't mention a lot about special teams, but the last couple of games, Russ Bashir's punting has really improved over what he did the last home game we had to the Hopkinsville game. You saw a big difference, and then last night another good night, I thought, out of the punting.
He did a great job last night, and he's getting better at that, and it's, in practice he's doing a lot better. We're finally figuring out how to kick the ball the way we want it kicked, and, Coach Pepper's done a good job with that, but he has done a great job. The other thing, we put him on our kickoff team last night, and he made a difference on that situation too.
He's got to be one of the quickest kids on the team because he had to run a bobbled snap one game, and he showed some speed.
He had a nice run last night.
So he's got some legs on him and can do a lot. I do want to go back, and I half jokingly, but half not on this. You talked about the offense doing the same thing week after week and not really adding anything. I know one of the packages you have has Cole Baker in the backfield.
Yeah, we bring in Cole and Hunter to the backfield, give us a 3-back set with, which we hope will help us run the football. We've been pretty successful with that, and Cole's he's going to go through there and he's going to get on somebody, and same thing with Hunter. So we got 2 pretty good sized lead blockers coming up through there and it's just a package we do on short yardage.
And I joked with Coach McClung at one of the soccer games. Any chance on Cole getting a carry?
Yeah, we'd like to do that. I don't know if you remember Kewan. It's been back a few years ago. We got him a touchdown one game, and Tanner Flynn we did the same thing with Tanner Flynn.
I remember Tanner, yeah. Yeah, we were joking with Coach McClung about that, and he said, I doubt that you see Cole carry, but we're pulling for that a little bit. If you can pull some strings, some people that can make that happen. In the second half, Caldwell County had this one going, running clock. You had a lot of substitutes in, but Seth Slayton came in the backfield for you and made a nice touchdown run. I think it was around 25 yards on the run, maybe a little bit longer than that. You want to talk some about him? Is he a freshman?
He's a freshman, and he's one of Coach Walls' best wrestlers. So he's a kid. He's got some speed, which he showed last night. He hadn't had a lot of opportunities on the varsity, and in the JV game we yet to play a JV game because we had one canceled and had Labor Day. So this Monday night will be our first JV game. We got Union County at home, so we're really looking forward to that to see what some of these kids can do, and it'll give him a chance to get a lot more reps on Monday.
Well, you had a lot of the young ones come in last night. Does anybody else? Did any of the young ones besides Seth stand out to you?
Pooh Riley did a really good job. He didn't catch him. We didn't throw the ball at him, but Pooh did a really good job. Matter of fact, he's the one that sprung Seth on that touchdown. He got his block on the corner. He probably didn't weigh 112 pounds, but he comes out and he blocks.
I think I know who it was. I think he's listed at 106. We were talking about
that's Jameer's brother.
Okay. Well, they did a great job last night. That last touchdown pushed Caldwell County out to the 64-21 final tally there, and a great night for the Tigers. Another game next week as we look ahead, Coach Barnes, on the road, 6A Henderson County. They lost a tough game last night. I forget, there was an out-of-state team that they played them good. But Henderson County with the loss last night. So anything that you're looking at special for the game next week at Henderson?
Well, they played Christian County 2 weeks ago, and that was I think a touchdown game. Christian County won. The team they played last night was Gibson Southern out of Indiana, which is a spread team, and it's been pretty good in the past few years. And it was another 8-point game. I think they got beat by. So
let's see if I can find it. Yes, it was a 28-20.
Yeah.
Last night, and the Gibson Southern out of Indiana, the Titans are 4-0 and ranked second in Indiana's 3A poll.
Yeah.
So a good school to
Yeah,
play an 8-point game with.
They're a good football team, and I know they got a quarterback that's a big kid, same one they had last year, and Josh Boston, that's the head coach there, used to be at Henderson, Union County. This will be his second year there at Henderson, or third year at Henderson. Does a really good job. Their defensive coordinator used to be the head coach at Ballard County, John Elliott, which when we were in that district, he was the head coach at Ballard at the time. He's now at Henderson doing their defense, so they're an improved football team.
Well, that's the game next week as we finish a 3-game road trip at Henderson County. We'll come back home the following week against Paducah Tillman. And Coach, my last question to you this morning, you've coached for a long time. You know a lot of the area coaches. When Paducah Tillman comes in, they've got a new coach.
Yeah.
And what kind of difference is he making down there? On paper, and from what we hear, he's really turning some things around. And I was going to say, if you could tell us what difference that new coach, because I'm sure you know him well after having been at Murray, that you know him well, and what he's going to do with Paducah Tillman.
Coach Duncan, and he was at E-Town a few years back when E-Town was in the state championship game. He was the defensive coordinator up there. And then he got to Murray High job and did a great job at Murray High. They were we butted heads for the third round a couple times, and then he left and went to Logan County, and then he came back and got the Tillman job like this year. There'll be a totally different type of team in that. There'll be a wishbone team. They like to run. He's going to run the football. It's going to be hard-nosed, physical type football, and he's got some pretty good athletes. And then defensively, he's always been really good on defense, and so he's changed that program in a way that probably through his discipline it's probably really been the biggest thing he's turned around down there is the way they. I know they've talked about their penalties. Usually they get 12, 13, 14 penalties a game. They're down to very few penalties in the game, so that says a lot about what he's done with the discipline of that program.
Well, that's our first district game coming up, and this is an improved district this year.
Yes.
I think each team has gained quite a bit. Fort Campbell had some big wins early. Trigg County, I think, sits at 3-1 right now after a tough season last year. So the district is on an upswing all around, but I still believe that the top two teams will meet in that very first district game in 2 weeks here in Princeton. So we're looking forward to that, as most folks are. But
that's also going to be homecoming that night as well.
Okay, that'll be great here. Big crowd will be out for that one. So, Coach, any last comments you'd like to add about last night's big win over Crittenden County?
I'm just really proud of our kids. With everything that was going on, and to come back and win that football game in the way we did, and it was a pretty. From the second quarter on, it was a pretty impressive win for us. We just got to keep building from here and get better each week as we go through the next few weeks and get into our playoffs. But again, I'd like to thank Coach Al Starnes and the people at Crittenden County for what they did last night. There's, I don't know that I've ever been involved with something like that, and the magnitude of the way it was. There's no way that I don't think anybody could predict that type of outcome for that type of deal, and just says a lot about both communities. And I was talking to Coach Barr on the way over here. That's what's great about living in a small town and having a small football town. It's the communities come together, they come out and they support the team, and we've been always fortunate with that deal. And last night, I think you saw a stadium that was pretty full of, and everybody pulling. Obviously, Crittenden wanted to win the game. We wanted to win the game. But bottom line is, it's more about life, and hopefully some life lessons were taught there last night. And and Coach Starnes did a great job of pulling that off. And I really appreciate that.
Well, Coach, I have to say that both those programs, starting with you and Coach Starnes, as the leadership and the teachers, is the examples that you guys set for your programs and for your communities, is where the seed was planted in all that happened last night. So I thank you for your time this morning. We look forward to talking to you again next week, hopefully after another big road win as we'll go to Henderson County. That'll be on Friday night. Bob Hayes and Coach Barnes will be on the air at 6 o'clock. We'll have the pregame show at 6:30. Kickoff from Henderson County will be at 7 o'clock as the Tigers take on the Colonels. So join us then. We'll be back on the air on Monday night. We'll have a big girls high school soccer match as the Lady Tigers will take on Paducah Tillman. That one at 7 o'clock from Butler Stadium. We'll be on the air about 6:45 for that one, so tune in. So filling in for Bob Hayes this week, I'm Dennis Stevens. That's going to do it for us for this edition of Saturday Morning Quarterback. We'll see you on Monday night.
Yeah, good.
Mobile deposit